Welcome to season 3, episode 15 of the Subway Conversation Chat. I'm your host, Jamie Mullen. I'm here to talk some New York Yankees and New York Mets baseball with my co-host, Joe Dalio. So without any further delay, here's Joe. Hey, Joe.
How's it going, Jamie? I said it's been 2 weeks. I missed our show last week, and certainly don't miss talking about how bad the Mets are doing.
Do you really have to talk about them? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know, right? But I do miss talking baseball with you. So I'm glad we're back here to be able to do that tonight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Joe, would you like to start us off with those Mets news, as much as you probably don't want to?
Yeah. Now, there's some news and good news that we could talk about. Different players coming back anyway. So I'll start with that. No major transactions to talk about as far as trades. Hold that thought, though, because give it a couple of weeks and we might have some juicy ones to talk about. But nothing much happening as far as player movement. But as far as injuries and returns and things like that, Luis Robert Jr. Is back from his back situation. He was on the 60-day IL. And he came back officially yesterday, missed nearly 3 months with what they call, again, a severe lumbar spine disc herniation. I don't know how that affects him going forward. But again, we'll see where he fits in. A.J. Ewing and Carson Bench playing excellent outfield. So they're saying there's a good chance that Robert will spend more time as a DH than anything. Now, as we go to the negative news, and again, you feel bad for players. It's been a struggle for Mark Vientos for a lot of this season. He had his good moments and bad, but unfortunately on July 10th, he was placed on the 10-day IL with a fractured right hand. Now, there's no official timetable, but they're saying probably late August is when he's going to be able to come back. So, again, a struggle for him, and any chance really to get it going for the rest of the season seems to be lost. Now, back in May also, in a game against the Yankees, Clay Holmes ended up with a fractured leg after being hit with a 100-plus mile-an-hour line drive. But he is recovering and recovering very well. He was supposed to do a minor league rehab start the other day on the 18th, but that got postponed because of rain. But he threw a bullpen session and now tentatively slated to pitch in the minors later this week with a target activation date of July 28th. So he is the good news for Mets fans, scheduled to come back soon. The bad news for Mets fans is there's a very good chance that he's going to be one of the Mets that another team picks up and trade here, just because he could definitely help a lot of different teams. And he definitely did well in his time with the Mets. Now, other news, Austin Warren, a pitcher, relief pitcher, had an MRI done, no ligament damage because he was put on the IL. So basically just needs rest for a couple of weeks, and they're thinking that he can, get back soon. Now, talking about trades here that the Mets were saying, now I don't know how this is going to impact things, but I know David Stearns now went out and said that according to rumors, now again, I don't have total confirmation of this, that the Mets don't plan on paying any down player salaries, in these trades. So that means, they have no interest in paying part of these salaries. If another team picks these guys up, then they're going to have to absorb the remaining salaries there. So we shall see how, that affects things. And, we'll see. Now, again, as we've talked about, and as it has been all over the sports news here, pretty much everybody except like 5 players are on the trade block here. And a big part of that is probably going to be middle relief. The Mets have had excellent middle relief, and guys like Brazoban and Brooks Raley, those guys are I know Raley has an expiring contract. I'm hearing a lot about Jeff Weaver. He had that 24 inning scoreless streak that a lot of teams are going to be looking at him, and a lot of teams need exactly what he can provide. So as well as he's done with the Mets, and as much as the Mets say they want to keep him, I don't see that happening because they can get peak value for him right now and a peak return. So I think now would probably be the best time, for him. So Mets got some other players back. Marcus Semien came back on July 16th. Not that he's making that much of a difference. Let's see. Zach Short, again, depth designated for assignment on the 16th, then sent back to Syracuse. Zach Thornton, he definite bright spot for the Mets. That, again, these rookies and reasons to watch the Mets now, besides guys like Ewing and Benj and, the few bright spots, had a great start this week and, looking very sharp. That can certainly give the Mets some hope here. So, again, limited player movement, but we'll be talking about more movement, I'm sure, going forward in the next couple of weeks. So that's what I got on this end for the Mets. Now, what's going on your end there with the Yankees, Jamie?
Well, we just came off a nice 8-5 win over the Pirates last night. Very chippy game with Jose Caballero and the pitcher almost getting into a brouhaha, which led to the benches clearing and the bullpen clearing. It didn't escalate into anything, but it was interesting to see because Jose Caballero likes to do this thing where he likes to not look at the clock until there's 8 seconds to try to take the rhythm off the pitcher for the pitch clock. And he says he's doing it within the rules, and it annoys a lot of other pitchers and
he better be careful because he is going to get plugged one of these days.
Yeah, because the Pittsburgh pitcher just got nabbed, but he's like, I'm doing it within the rules, which he is if you think about it.
True.
So, but anyway, we're going to start out with the Yankees injury report. And guess what? Joe? It's the return of the one, the only right-handed pitcher, Clark John Jacobs. He is recovering from Tommy John surgery. You haven't heard? It's about time we finally talk about him.
We've been waiting for this.
He's like the forgotten man. They got so much pitching that you forgot he was still on the team.
That's it. But now the people are going to shout.
Yep. Yep. On July 18th, he pitched an inning of live batting practice to Anthony Volpe and Ali Sanchez, pitching 15 fastballs at Yankee Stadium. His next trip will include breaking balls. His expected return, possibly August.
Okay.
Next, we have right fielder Aaron Judge. All rise. He is still recovering from a stress fracture on the right side of his first rib. He engaged in re-imaging on July 15th that showed signs of healing, but not to the point to resume baseball activities. And to be honest with you, maybe that's a good thing because they don't need to try to rush him back. It's just let him take time to heal and save him for September and October in the playoffs. Don't do what the Dodgers are trying to do with Shohei Ohtani. They're trying to find every way they can to, get him hurt and knock him out of the lineup,
Yeah. Here's one thing I was thinking about Aaron Judge as I was reading the reports, and then I'll let you get back to it. Aaron Judge, as it's been noted, his struggles in the postseason. And you wonder, because he's missed so much time and he's going to come back at a good time here, if this actually helps him this postseason. And actually, he has the type of postseason that people are looking for him. And I'd be very interested to see that he might be fresh. He might be, he's going to have enough time, like I said, to get into a groove. So you wonder if this is actually going to help him come postseason time. It remains to be seen, obviously, but interesting to see.
That's true. I didn't think about that. But anyway, the Yankees captain has been executing lower bodies movements, but will require additional imaging down the road. Expected return possibly August. But anyway, next we have left-handed pitcher Max Fried. He is dealing with left elbow bone bruise. On July 17th, he pitched 3 innings, only giving up 2 runs in his first minor league rehab start for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. The 32-year-old struck out 3 batters, gave out 5 hits, including 1 homer, and threw 52 pitches with 32 strikes. So I guess that's encouraging first step for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a quote here. He will go again in 5 days and wrap up from there, Boone said. We'll see at this point if we take him or if he's ready to come back. Expect to return possibly later this month, July. Anyway, now we're going to talk about the 4 ideal relief pitchers the Yankees could target at the trade deadline.
I know one of them.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I know another one, too, that's on your team. So
who's that? I'll let you get to it.
With the MLB All-Star Game in the league's rearview mirror, it is now time for trade deadline season for the Yanks and the other 29 clubs in the MLB. GM Brian Cashman will be monitoring the Bombers' performance between now and Monday, August 3rd, starting and continuing with the Dodgers series and now the Pirates series. So even though they drafted a future potential catcher in Brendan Brock in the 3rd round of the 2026 MLB draft, they still need to find an immediate upgrade at the deadline, or to try to find an immediate upgrade at the deadline. They also should try to look for an immediate replacement for Ryan McMahon at third base. Although I think McMahon's a guy that, like I said, he's a guy that could do well in the second half of the season. Him, Caballero, and Chisholm, they're all second half players to me. Anyway, above everything else, the Yankees also need support in the bullpen. It's going to be difficult to trust inconsistent arms like Camille Doval, Tim Hill, and Ryan Yarbrough in the postseason, making it a need for Cashman and co. to revamp or add to that unit. Intriguing options such as the Padres' Mason Miller, 105 miles an hour Mason Miller, or the Astros' Josh Hader add to the mix. It might require Cashman to give up top prospects that could still help the Yankees after the season. Now, even though in the past Cashman hasn't been willing to give up prospects, it actually was reported that supposedly this year they said he was willing to go all in and maybe give up some top prospects to try to win a World Series this year. We'll see when the deadline happens, but it's just a food for thought. Instead, Cashman might want more acquirable names without mortgaging everything. And these are all 4 options he should go to. Number 1, it's a Mets pitcher, Joe, but it's not Luke Weaver.
Okay. Who would it be?
Southpaw AJ Minter.
Oh, okay.
Because they could use another lefty in the bullpen. That's why I think they have enough righties to possibly replace Tim Hill. But anyway, while reuniting with Luke Weaver would be a dream, Dream Weaver, his fantastic season will make it hard to acquire him from the Mets. Thus, AJ Minter, who is also from the Mets, is someone Cashman could transport from the Queens to the Bronx. Wouldn't that be far for him to do it? The 32-year-old currently boasts a 1.42 ERA while completing 8 of 19 relief appearances so far with an 842 whip, a .842 whip, and 17 strikeouts in 19 innings. He is also only permitting 0.5 walks per 9 innings, demonstrating great command. For instance, Doval is allowing 3.1 walks per 9 innings.
Wow.
Minter is a southpaw who could replace Hill should the latter continue to underwhelm. With his familiarity to the Big Apple, the Yankees shouldn't hesitate to make this deal. Number 2, we have Caleb Killian. The 29-year-old reliever from the San Francisco Giants would be an instant upgrade and would reunite him with current Yankees reliever Camille Doval, because I think they were teammates at San Francisco.
And with the Giants.
Yep. Currently, he's tied for 23rd in the league with 8 saves with a 4.62 ERA. That's a little high, though, but with 48 strikeouts and a solid 1.36 whip. So walks hit per innings pitch. He has a 1.36, which that's a good thing. I guess that controls the high ERA a little bit. But I also think his high ERA might due to the fact that the Giants are just 42-55, and having a new change of scenery could help Killian thrive into the postseason, and the Yankees could be one of those spots. Maybe his ERA will go down with them. And then number 3, Joe, in the words of Cardi B, we have Steve Okert from the Astros. The Astros may have started their pre-deadline fire sale. Wow, that's crazy to talk about, Joe. When we did the show, or before we did this show, what was it, 4 years ago? They were the darlings of the league, World Series champions, and now we're talking about them doing a pre-deadline fire sale in 2026. How crazy is that?
Right. The last time they did a fire sale was like 15 years ago.
Right. Early when they dealt Lance McCullers Jr. to the Brewers last Wednesday. Houston has plentiful of veteran relievers on expiring contracts who could be rentals for the Yankees, and Okert is one of them. Okert is the strikeout throw the Yankees would love to have for the September-October stretch. The 35-year-old veteran has pitched to a 2.31 ERA in 46 relief appearances, punching out 47 hitters and limiting opponents to a 168 batting average, of 525 OPS over 46 and 2/3 innings. I'd say that's more than just Okert, right? That's pretty solid.
Right. I would go with that too.
Yep. His +8 breaking run value is in the 96th percentile among pitchers per baseball stats, as are his expected ERA, 2.57, and hard hit rate, 28.4%. He also has a slider, which has caused a 34.2% whiff rate. The Yankees should acquire Okert if they don't want to keep dealing with Tim Hill's and Ryan Yarbrough's high school velocity fastball pitch. God, that drives me nuts. Low velocity these days, right?
Well, it doesn't fit with the current Major League Baseball pitchers.
No, it doesn't. Next, 4th and final, we have Antonio Senzatela from the Rockies. Now, this one, he's got a special story here. Senzatela has played with the Rockies during all 10 years of his pro career. He survived all of that during their struggles. So he's like the Alvin Kamara of that team. He survived the early success with the late Sean Payton years with success, and he just renewed his contract during their rebuild with Tyler Shuck and Kellen Moore. But this is the same thing here with Senzatela in baseball terms. And I admire him because that loyalty is carried over with his best showing in 2026. The Venezuelan has a career low 3.31 ERA through 30 appearances, picking up a 9-2 record while finishing 11 games with at least 3 saves. Additionally, he's also surrendering fewer hits, only 8.1 in home runs, 0.6 per 9 innings than he ever has in his career. Highlighting why Colorado might want to cash in now on his value before the deadline. I mean, they've held on to him for so long, and he's been so loyal to them. They might as well do it while the loyalty and the value remain high.
Right.
So, unlike Okert and AJ Minter, or as they would say at Christmas, he's walking in a Minter wonderland. Senzatela might be more than just a one-year rental for a reliever-ready team like the Yankees. Spotrac has his contract in a $14 million club option for 2027. That extra team control could make a trade move pricey, but still well worth it for the boost that Senzatela could provide to New York's bullpen. So, Joe, if the Yankees can acquire Luke Weaver, how would AJ Minter look in pinstripes as a consolation prize?
I think he would look great, because I have seen AJ Minter as one of those relievers that I didn't mention when I was going through my list here. But definitely, I see him on so many of those lists as far as the type of reliever that can help so many different teams. The Mets can still get, again, some good prospects and, some good players for him just because, again, he's had a great season for the Mets here. He's been solid. Like you said, the Yankees need left-handed relief. So I think he'd be an excellent fit for the Yankees. I like the other people on the list there too, except for the guy on the Giants that you mentioned. I wouldn't trust somebody who's got like a 4+ ERA and given up a ton of walks in San Francisco, which is one of the most pitcher-friendly parks out there, and then to come to Yankee Stadium, which is not a very friendly pitcher park. So I'm not so sure if that would work. But even the guy on the Rockies, now that you got a situation is just the opposite of what I just mentioned, coming for someplace like Coors Field where it's so difficult to pitch, and then coming to plus pitching on a team that's nowhere near in contention right now, even though they are drastically improved from last year. I think to put him in a pennant race. And again, Yankee Stadium is not an easy place to pitch either, but I think it's definitely easier than Colorado. So I really like all of those guys on that list. And again, Luke Weaver would be the ultimate one, but you're going to have to give up so much more for him. So, and I agree with the Yankees, though. I think, going back to what you said in the beginning there, I think it's a good idea for them to give up some prospects here because go all in now. The American League is wide open, and really it's theirs, in my opinion. And I'll give you some stats on that a little bit later. But I really think that the American League is the Yankees to lose. So go all in now. And if you have to, don't sacrifice the entire farm. But I don't think it's a bad thing if you give up some good prospects. And again, maybe Weaver is going to be too expensive. But if he is, you got these guys that you mentioned here, I think would be a very valuable asset and additions to their bullpen there.
And how do you think all these guys, but particularly Minter, how do you think Minter would be an instant upgrade over Tim Hill? Because like I said, Tim Hill doesn't have a high fastball velocity. What's Minter's velocity?
That's a good question. I'm not totally familiar on his velocity, but you mentioned the stats earlier. He doesn't walk anybody, and the whip is very low. Under one, any whip under one is excellent. And you said I think it's 0.86. I didn't look. I didn't put down his stats this week, but he again in the postseason to have a guy that doesn't walk people, I think that's key. Big walks, you're going to have to earn your way against a guy like that. So I think that's a major upgrade right there. And I'm sure his velocity is probably a little higher than the one you mentioned, but yeah, I think you're definitely getting an upgrade there. He knows how to pitch in New York, being with the Mets here. So I think if you're not going to get Jeff Weaver, I think he would be your next best option.
Mm-hmm.
Minter.
Yep. Anyway, now we're going to move on to how does Jazz Chisholm Jr. make Cashman's job easier to redo his contract this winter? Jazz Chisholm Jr. came in to the 2026 MLB season with sky-high expectations for himself and for the team. Definitely for himself, but yeah, for the team too.
Right.
But man, for himself, wow.
Mm-hmm.
After a 2025 season in which he hit the 30-30 milestone, he was hoping for a 50-50 one in 2026. Now, that one may have been way above his pay grade, but it wasn't, Jazz wanting to always strive for the best, but
right.
That one's way above his pay grade, 50-50, but 30-30 was more in the was more in the right ballpark, more in the right real estate for him.
Right. He might have been putting a little bit too much pressure on himself for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now that the All-Star break is over, and he will be well short of that goal. Chisholm's goal now is just to at least be a league average hitter, which he was last year, and now he's close to being that already to start out the second half. So that's a good thing. The Yankees have seen the best and the worst of Jazz. Lollipop Gate, but anyway. And it bars the question if Jazz should be re-signed or not. He has been open about extending his contract. Now the organization needs to play tag back. Chisholm is currently batting .228 with a .726 OPS, while also hitting 16 home runs with 43 RBIs and 26 stolen bases. It looks like he's going to get over the 30 in stolen bases, though, which, again, that'll be a good thing because he had 31 last year. Home runs, he's at 16. He still has a little bit to go to get to 30, but anyway, he also owns a 76 percentile 90.5 mile an hour average exit velocity per baseball savant. Chisholm has a 292 xWOB H 213 xBA 364 X slugging with a 40.6% hard hit rate and a middling, which is low from last year, an 8.8% barrel rate. Last season, Chisholm had one of the sport's best barrel rate. He boasted a 15% barrel rate, which was in the 91st percentile in baseball, making his ability to crush baseballs one of the best in the sport. Despite a poor bat this year, Chisholm is still showing off his athleticism as Chisholm has 8 outs above average at second base. He also has a 97 percentile base running run value, according to Baseball's Serenat. It's the athleticism and speed, which few in the sport have, that has Chisholm sitting at a 2.1 WAR as per Fangraphs. That places Chisholm at 6 in baseball among second basemen in WAR. The only second basemen above him are Luis Arias, Bryce Turang, and Xavier Edwards. Chisholm's numbers with the Yankees have been all around solid overall, as he's hitting a career .245 with a .777 OPS and a .117 WRC plus. So, he's totaled 55 homers, 140 RBIs, and 75 stolen bases. The last second baseman to hit Chisholm's market value was none other than Marcus Semien. Joe, how about that? You may
I believe it, because Semien did have some excellent seasons with the Blue Jays and the Rangers there.
Yep. And speaking of the Rangers, though, that good season, he signed this. This sounds awful, though, Joe, when you hear this at the time, but they had to do it. And at the time, you know, it seemed like a no-brainer move. He signed a 7-year, $175 million contract with the Rangers in December 2020, a contract that hasn't aged well. And now he's with the Mets. But at the time, that seemed like a no-brainer, so you never know.
Right.
And he was traded to the Mets this past offseason. Probably might get traded again at the deadline.
Yep.
Right? Yep.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yep. Well, Chisholm most likely will receive a qualifying offer next season. There might not even be a season, Joe, with the impending lockout. Chisholm is not Rob Manfred, newsflash, but all he could do is increase those numbers, and now he has 70 games to be in league average hitter, and I think he could do it, Joe. He's already got his average up to 228 in his only the fourth game of the second half of the season. So
okay.
So Joe, should the Yankees re-sign Jazz Chisholm Jr.? Like, even though he may not be like, you know, like he may not be like, you know, like the contract may not be as good as his talent, but he's a guy, like I said, he's a guy that, like I said, in the come playoff time, he's a hardworking, you know, gritty, chippy player that's tough to play against, which, like I said, doesn't translate in the regular season, but in the playoffs it does translate, would you re-sign him?
Well, I've been wrong about this before, making this comment. All right, about a particular player whose last name is a four-letter S word, and that is with the Mets right now. I said, again, it would be, and I'm of course talking about Juan Soto. And I said back last year, it would be, or 2 years ago, it would be in the player's best interest and it would be in the team's best interest to get a deal done. And obviously, we know that deal did not work out. But I'm going to say the same thing here. I honestly think it would be in Jazz's best interest, and I honestly think it would be in the Yankees' best interest to get a deal done. You have a guy that's established. You have a guy that's had, that's a string of solid seasons with the Marlins and now with the Yankees, who is a valuable player on your team. He knows how to play. He's played in New York, so he knows how to deal with that. Yeah, he's clutch. Yes, there's things that he's done that maybe, question his maturity and things like that. But hey, there's plenty of other players that have done things like that too. So if I'm the Yankees, I find a way to get this done. And again, if I'm Jazz Chisholm, I find a way to get a deal, because I think, again, what greater franchise is there in baseball? And you might argue the Dodgers, but seriously, what greater franchise is there than the Yankees? And if you can make a contribution and you've already proven yourself to them, if I'm Jazz Chisholm, I would want to stay with the Yankees and win a World Series ultimately, and do everything I could to get a job done. So yes, if I'm Yankees management, if I'm a Yankees fan, I would want him on my team, and I think it's best for him to find a spot to stay on this team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And how can Jazz show he's worth that payday in the second half of the season? I think he already started that last night by going 2 for 3, but with his first 2 hits being home runs.
Right. Just, show that clutch, show that, you can show up in big situations and just try to improve. He got off to a rough start. Everybody knows that, but he's really making the effort now to improve and to make positive contributions. And like you said, he's doing that. And I think he's going to continue to do that and turn out to be a very clutch player in the postseason. So yeah, again, get this done. I think it's best for both sides that he stays with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And no, so let's turn it back over to you, Joe, for some more Mets news. Joe?
All right. Well, again, as we know, there's not a lot of positive stuff to talk about, but that's what I like to focus on. So I will give you a little review of the past 2 weeks here. Now, the week before, basically in the 2 weeks since we've spoken, the Mets have a 4-5 record. The week before, they won their last 2 games against the Royals in that 3-game series. And then they were swept by a current machine called the Red Sox. And then this past week, they won 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia. Not an easy thing to do. And, last night lost to one of the best pitchers in baseball, Mizorowski of the Brewers. So they went 4-5 over, the last couple of weeks here. Scored 31 runs, which, again, we're talking 3.5 runs a game, which isn't going to get you much. They gave up 34, which is not awful. I mean, you're talking, little shy of 4 runs a game. So really not getting blown out. Again, the pitching was pretty decent. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. We'll talk about some hitting first. Now, what's gotten into Tyrone Taylor? I mean, this guy had a batting average that was microscopic. Then he gets hurt and he's out for a little bit and then comes back. And now in the last 2 weeks, he's got a 1471 OPS with a couple of solo home runs. So where did this come from? I mean, the guy can field, and they often put him in late in games for fielding assurance. But now him starting to hit the ball like that. Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, each with 6 RBIs, led the team. So that's what they're supposed to be doing. Francisco Alvarez has smacked the ball hard all year, continues to do that, a 994 OPS over the last couple of weeks. Jared Young, throw him in there at 942. Now, we're talking about hitting the ball hard and expected stats here. Now, Brett Baty had a good week. He 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, a mediocre OPS. He did strike out a lot. And, Juan Soto, I shared, that he had a great couple of weeks here. Both of those guys, though, when you look at the WOBA stat, which factors in hits, extra base hits, that kind of thing, and there's the expected WOBA, which means what it should be. And both Baty and Soto had an expected WOBA that was about 50 points higher than their actual. So what that means is that as well as they're hitting the ball and the stats are quite good, they should be better based on the way they're hitting the ball. And a lot of times you see those upticks in stats and the positive regression to the mean as time goes on. So look out for those two. I mean, Soto, I keep saying this, if the Mets were in the pennant race here, Soto would be an MVP candidate. But and nice to see Brett Baty steadily improve and gain a little bit more consistency. That was the big problem with him for really as long as he's been with the Mets, is he has one week where he's like an MVP and a Hall of Famer, and then he has another week where, you wonder why he's anywhere above A-ball, So there's more and more steady progress by Baty, and, it's good to see. And you were talking about that barrel percentage before. Anything over double digits in that barrel percentage, and what that means for anybody watching here that might not know, is you're basically making excellent contact with the baseball. You're hitting the ball in the sweet spot at a positive launch angle that's going to create more extra base hits and home runs. So, and again, anything over double digits is really good. And Juan Soto, again, his name coming up a lot, Brett Baty, and even Lindor, who hasn't been doing that all year, all in the last couple of weeks had double-digit barrel percentages. So, again, that shows me that Baty is going to continue to improve, shows me that Francisco Lindor, who hasn't been hitting the ball well much of the year, seems to finally be coming around and maybe getting his stride together here a little bit. And Juan Soto, as we know, has been doing that the entire season. Now, some positive spots here for the Mets. And again, one of the untouchables on the team is pitcher Nolan McLean. And he pitched a couple of games, 2 starts over these last couple of weeks, 12 innings pitched. So obviously averaging 6 innings a game, going deep into games. Again, hate to say that going 6 innings is going deep for a starting pitcher, but it's 2026, and that's true. So he only gave up 7 hits in those 12 innings, did not give up an earned run, and 17 strikeouts. So this is the Nolan McLean, that we had in the beginning of the season. He went through a little slump and definitely back to where we expected him to be. 0.92 whip. So we were talking about that, walks and hits to innings pitched, less than 1, and a 171 batting average against. So Nolan McLean definitely trending in the right direction. So is Christian Scott. He had 1 bad start, but since he's come back from injury, he's been great. Definite bright spot for this Mets pitching staff. A couple of starts, 10 and 2/3 innings. So a decent amount of innings that per start that he's doing. 6 hits, no earned runs, 12 strikeouts. So just like McLean, excellent. Another bright spot is Zach Thornton. And I believe he's scheduled to pitch tonight. But he had 1 start, which I mentioned him before, and 7 innings pitched, only 3 hits allowed. So definitely positivity there. Now, some mediocrity throughout the rest of the starting rotation. Sean Manaea, definitely pitching better than he was in the beginning. And again, he got put back into the starting rotation. 11 and 2/3 innings over the couple of weeks, 13 hits, 6 earned runs. One area of concern with Manaea is he gave up 4 home runs in those 11 innings. So that's a little high. He did have 13 strikeouts though. So making some contributions. Freddie Peralta has already waved the white flag and trying to get his ticket punched out of town. He's making that more obvious every time he takes the mound. He had another mediocre start. I think, Jamie, you and I could hit against Kodai Senga the way he's pitching. Definitely things not going well for him. Now, they're positive. They're good relievers, had positive outings. Brooks Raley, Brazoban did well. The only thing I wonder about them is how much longer are they going to be in Mets uniforms? Because again, and you can add AJ Minter to that list too, like we talked about earlier. I didn't get his stats for the last couple of weeks, but again, Raley and Brazoban could definitely be of help to many, many different teams. Devin Williams, I don't think he's going anywhere. He did have a save, although he did blow a save. So again, not any optimism here as far as playoffs for Mets fans. They're 42-59, 17 games out of first place, 10 out of the wild card. They're one of only 4 teams that are double-digit games out of a wild card spot. So put this second highest payroll team of the Mets with other teams like, I don't know, the Royals, the Angels, the Rockies, the only other teams to be double-digit games out of the wild card. Again, there's no reason in the world that the Mets should be included in a group with those teams. So if you look ahead here, they got 2 more games at Milwaukee. A tough schedule for the Mets because the Brewers are great, a first-place team. They deserve to be a first-place team. They're great at home. And it doesn't get any easier from that. A weekend series at Citi Field against the Dodgers. They continue to roll. And then the Dodgers leave town, and the first-place Braves come into Citi Field. Now, the Mets have played pretty well against the Braves this year, but still difficult teams coming in. Now, I talk about these expected stats here, and I wanted to kind of put this, before I send it back to you to talk more about the Yankees. And I said backstage, and I might have even said in the beginning of this podcast about why I think the Yankees have a lot to be optimistic about. If you look at the expected records, and really these are coming into fruition because 2 weeks ago on this podcast, I told you, and I told anybody watching, that if you're a Yankees fan, I don't think you have the Rays to be worried about. I think the team that I'd be worried about if I was a Yankee fan are the Boston Red Sox. And they had won maybe a handful of games in a row at that time. They've won like 14 in a row now, maybe 15. I'm not sure. So I was right about that. And not just me. But again, according to those expected statistics, the Red Sox were expected to come on and play like the team that they are. And now look where they are. So if you go by those expected records, the Yankees right now would have a 6.5 game lead over the Rays. Now, I know they're about a game and a half behind the Rays right now. But based on the expected record, they would have a 6.5 game lead over the Rays, but only a 3.5 game lead over the Red Sox, who the Red Sox, according to these expected stats, would be ahead of the Rays by 3 games. So those expected statistics also say that the Yankees should have the best record in the American League. But it is wide open, and they do have one of the best records. I don't know if Tampa's still ahead of them, but the only other teams that would be behind the Yankees that would be close within a couple of games, according to these expected record, the White Sox. So again, this is saying that the White Sox are no flukes here. The White Sox, the Red Sox, and get this, a team that nobody's talked about all year, and may be resurrecting from the dead. Keep an eye on the Detroit Tigers to make a big second half run here based on those expected statistics. So I honestly think, again, and I thought even before all this, that the Yankees were the class of the American League. And I really think when this plays out, you're going to see that come to fruition. Now, again, things can happen and injuries can come up, and you never know, again, what can happen. But if you're a Yankees fan, I would be very optimistic based on these expected statistics. And you already see the Rays starting to come back. They've lost 5 in a row. I think they won yesterday, but they were on a 5-game losing streak, and they've hit a little bit of a slide. And I honestly think, they'll be in the race and potentially make the playoffs. But I don't think they win this division. I think the Yankees do. And I think the Yankees actually end up with the best record in the American League when all is said and done. And I think a team like the Red Sox and even the Tigers get there. And again, when you look at the White Sox in the American League Central, none of the other teams besides the Tigers are really scary there. So I think the White Sox are there to stay. Now, if you're curious about the National League and who are the better expected records, believe it or not, the Dodgers. That's saying the Dodgers should be better than they already are. And you know what happens every summer and late summer. The Dodgers hit that stride where they're unbeatable, and you'll see that. The Braves, they hit a little bit of a bump in the road, but I think the Braves are going to be right there, according to this. Now, here's another surprise team that is saying should have 3 more wins than they actually do, that is in 4th place in their division right now. But some people on this network might be happy about this. The Pittsburgh Pirates. Look out for them. Now, I'm not saying I don't think they end up overtaking the Brewers for the division. I think the Brewers are there to stay. But the Pirates could be a sneaky team in the National League and maybe get into that playoff picture and playoff spot there. Keep an eye on them. So again, I like to play with those expected stats and see, how things play out. And really things are going according to that, especially if you look at a team like the Red Sox. So stay tuned with that. We'll talk more about it as time goes on. But I found that very interesting. And since, this is a Mets-Yankees podcast, the Mets are nowhere near it. But if you're a Yankees fan, I think you have a lot of reason for optimism and high hopes for getting to the World Series. So that's basically it there. I'm going to send it back to you, Jamie, and we'll hear more about that Yankees team.
Yeah, hold on just for a sec. Joe Dylan wants to come on our show. I'll bring him in.
All right.
Hey guys,
how's it going, Dylan?
At least the Mets can play baseball in Milwaukee. I think the Yankees will postpone, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
So what do you think happens between now and August 3rd? Because seemingly the Mets are open for business, but we know the relievers are probably gone. Freddie Peralta's gone. Anyone else? I'm thinking Clay Holmes. Maybe with Weaver, and then with you, Jamie. Are these Mason Miller rumors true?
Hey, I think the sky's the limit for the Yankees. They can really go anywhere. I think with the way their starting pitching is now, they can really, add a guy like Miller. They can add any of these relievers that I mentioned on here would be an upgrade. And this is probably their best chance to, win a World Series and go all in, before, the inevitable happens next year, the lockout. So.
Yeah, and Dylan, all those players you mentioned for the Mets probably are on their way out. It's hard to predict what they're going to do. They said like 5 guys are untouchable. I'm trying to, Benj, Ewing, Soto, McLean. Not sure who the other one is, but Francisco Lindor is not on that list. So really, I don't think he moves. But it's going to be very interesting to see what they do here. The fact that the GM today said basically he's not going to be responsible for any salaries with these guys, that might cut into some things. And again, that's what's been said. I don't know how official that is, but you are going to see a lot of the middle relievers go. Weaver probably, Freddie Peralta. Thank you. Good riddance. Somebody take him off their hands. Minter, we were talking about before. Rayleigh, I believe, is going to be a free agent. He's on his way out probably. So I think pretty much anybody except for those 5 that I mentioned are possibly leaving the Mets and going from there. But there's been no official word about anything just yet.
And then, what time? And then this, if Skubal does get moved, where does he go?
I think a couple of weeks ago, I said I could see him going to a place like the Braves. I don't know, the Cubs. I don't think he goes to the Yankees. If he goes to the Dodgers, then baseball's over until 2028, and give the trophy to the Dodgers now. But that wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I could see him. I guess the 2 teams that come to my mind right away are the Braves or Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Rays or the Brewers? It'd be unlike either one of those teams making moves.
I don't see it happening with the Rays. I don't think it would happen with the Brewers, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I don't know. Maybe a team like the Phillies could sneak in there, perhaps. I wouldn't be surprised there. Again, like you said, it would be very un-Brewers-like to pick up a player like that. But this team's got to win something. I mean, they've been in it for so long, and every single year, myself and millions of other baseball fans say, all right, this is the year that the Brewers fade out a little bit. Give them a lot of credit for all they've done in their small market. But yeah, they're not good enough now. And they just seem to get better all the time. So it would be nice to see them actually get rewarded for that. And maybe they do go out and make a big splash like that to try to make it happen.
All right. Are you guys going to join us at 9:00?
I may be able to join for a little while. I got some stuff going on early tomorrow. But if you guys are going to be on, maybe I could stay on for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm coming on too.
I'm just sending you the link in the chat.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. So, thank you, Dylan. Okay. Thank you very much, Dylan, for that. So anyway, where were we? Oh yeah. What is the one move before the trade deadline the Yankees could pursue? We've talked about a lot of different scenarios, but this is the one I really think they could do. After the 2026 MLB All-Star game came and went, it was time for the Yankees to start their second half of the regular season. While being in second place in the AL East isn't too shabby, the Yankees could have a much improved record if they address multiple needs on their roster. Excuse me. With less than 3 weeks until the deadline, Cashman and co. will have to work tirelessly to eliminate any worries holding the Yankees' playback from reaching its full potential, beginning with this move that must be made before August. While upgrading both the catcher and the bullpen positions are important, there's no denying that the Yankees also need to upgrade their shortstop position. Mm-hmm. That's not being talked about a lot, but I will on this podcast.
Right.
You know, with one Anthony Volpe, while he's only 25 years old, but this year he actually has his trade value hasn't been any bigger than this year. It's enormously high, but I think he's waited too little, too late to actually finally, be a mainstay with the Yankees. He's finally having a year for him that he could, feel good about and wanting to be traded, because the former 2019 first rounder is hitting a career high 246 with the 668 OPS and 1 home run with 13 RBIs, 20 walks, 7 stolen bases, and a .9 WAR in 45 games. His +6 outs above average ranked 12th best among shortstops this season per Baseball Savant.
Savant, yeah.
Yep, Savant. But his but his strong defensive performances have been too few and far between. Volpe just isn't cutting it to help the Yankees capture the Commissioner's Trophy. Unfortunately, it isn't as if they really have any surefire internal replacements ready either.
Mm-hmm.
Although they may with one particular name, you know who we're going to talk about, but we'll get there. Not Jose Caballero, but although Caballero's good, Jose Caballero stepped in as the Yankees number one shortstop when Volpe was sidelined to begin the year and is slashing 290 with a 765 OPS with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs in his last 10 games, which translates to 31 at bats. He can be streaky, though, and his roller coaster June performance proves it, as he finished last month with a 210 batting average, a 657 OPS with a 32.1% strikeout rate in 24 games. If Cashman wants to go shortstop hunting before the MLB trade deadline, he shouldn't run into any shortage of options. The Astros appear to be potential deadline sellers with the versatile Isaac Paredes, who was a thorn in the Yankees side when he was with Tampa and then Chicago. A trade target who could help improve the left side of the Yankees. Again, he's another guy that's cut out of the Jazz system or Jose Caballero. He's frustrating to play against, but he's great to have on your team.
Mm-hmm.
So the two-time MLB All-Star has 12 home runs, 49 RBIs, and a 2.2 WAR in 91 outings with Houston. The Yankees' best option is to trade Volpe and then finally, right, hopefully, but finally promote George Lombard Jr. as he should have been on the team a while ago. But Volpe, I think, ruined those plans.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe, why should the Yankees trade Volpe now when his value is so high?
Well, because of what you just said, his value is higher now than it might be later on. So get as much as you can for him now. He's still a big name. I mean, you think he can help somebody? You know, maybe he's not built for the spotlight in New York, but he could help another team. So, you know, it's just a matter of finding that right team and getting as much as you can for him now, because there's no guarantee that could happen a little bit later.
And Joe, I get it. Like I said, Smokey Jeremy B's talked about it. He's talked about how they don't want to, these guys don't want to call up this guy, or they don't want to call up that guy, to have them be ready for, for the minor league so they can play in the minors next year. But why, Joe? Why won't the Yankees call up George Lombard Jr. already? I mean, do it in September. So that means he'll still be a minor league player next year, but call him up at some point.
Yeah, I think September would be ideal because you get him that major league experience. He can still play in the minors when there's no Major League Baseball next year. So, yeah, I completely agree with that, Jamie. That I think would be the ultimate thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Now let's take a look at Down on the Farm. Speaking of which, Yankees prospect, AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre, they won 7-6 against the Worcester Red Sox, or the Woo Sox. And speaking of the King, we're going to talk about shortstop George Lombard Jr. He finally came back this week. It was his first game back. He was 2 for 3 with a home run, a walk, an RBI, a strikeout, and a throwing error. Welcome back, George. He last played on June 16th when he suffered a finger sprain. Now, and then we have left fielder shortstop Oswaldo Cabrera. He was 2 for 4 with a strikeout and grounded into a double play and got picked off. Next, we have pitcher Max Fried. He pitched 3 innings, allowed 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, no walks, 3 strikeouts, and a home run in his rehab start. Now we're going to go to Double-A Somerset Patriots. They won 7-2 at the Portland Sea Dogs. What's a sea dog, Joe? Is that even real?
I have never heard of a sea dog. Is that a dog that likes the ocean? I don't
I
know.
don't know. You sound like my grandpa there. My grandpa would have said something like that. Anyway, we're going to start out with left fielder Jackson Castillo. He was 1 for 3 with a walk, an RBI, a strikeout, was hit by a pitch. Next, we have center fielder Jace, or in Spanish, Jose Avina. He was 2 for 5 with 2 walks, an RBI, and a stolen base. And then we're going to talk about pitcher Jack Siebert. He pitched 4 2/3 innings, allowing a hit, no runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, though. 2 hit by pitches, and it threw 85 pitches, which is pretty good nowadays for the minor leagues, Joe. Almost 5 innings.
That's right. We're making progress.
Next, we got the High A Hudson Valley Renegades. They lost 4-0 at the Brooklyn Cyclones. So a little Subway Series down in High A, right, Joe?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Shout out, or they were shut out on 2 hits. We're gonna finally talk about a pitcher that I've been willing to talk about. I think we talked about him a little bit last year, but he was hurt and now he came back. A pitcher by the name of Bryce Cunningham. If that name, Joe, kind of rings a bell, he was the Yankees' 2nd-round pick in 2024 out of Vanderbilt after they took Ben Hess in the 1st round. I think I may have talked about him, but before Bryce Cunningham, but he pitched at Vanderbilt. Guess what? He went over 5 innings. He pitched 5 2/3. He almost went 6 innings in High A.
What is going on in A-ball these days?
So that's good, but he did allow 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts in the loss. But I like that he almost went 6 innings though. In High A. I think they're trying to build his arm up, because in Vanderbilt he was throwing a mid-90s fastball and it was up to 97, but he got hurt last year and then he was only throwing 92 to 94, peaking at 96. So I think they're trying to slowly maybe get his velocity back up, and it sounds like it is, based on that.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about the Florida Complex Leagues, the SCL Yankees. This is rookie ball, basically. We never go deep into this woods, but we have to, because of the forgotten but highly touted shortstop prospect, 2025 1st-round pick, also out of high school, Dax Kilby. He was 0 for 1 with a walk and struck out. It was his first rehab game back since May 28th, when the 2025 1st-rounder suffered a setback. Well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026?
You can find me, Joe Dell Sports, on Twitter X. Obviously, this program and upcoming football programs, as well as sometimes on the open mic segment here as well.
Yep. And then you can find me on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also Jamie Moy, the Unbiased Journals, at DJ Dog Tags on X, BuffaloDown.com, and theFourthBall.com, where I write about all sports. And as Joe mentioned, you could follow us here on Driving to the Top Productions for the Subway Conversation Chat and the Buffalo Sports Conversation Room when we get into football. I'm excited about doing that eventually. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, ring the bell for all notifications. And for more content on Driving to the Top Production, you can visit us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X, wherever you get your podcast. For Joe Dalio, I'm Jamie Malloy, and we will see you next week, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time, for another episode of the Subway Conversation Chat, only on Driving to the Top Productions. Good night, everybody.
Have a great week.
Bye.